Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be watching this in the world, and welcome to the very first episode of Nation Vest. And this afternoon, we are joined by the Managing Director of Spotify for Sub-Saharan Africa, Ms. Jocelyne Muhutu-Remy. How are you, Jocelyne? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm doing very, very good. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Jocelyne, you represent the world's largest audio subscription service. Spotify has in excess of 670 million users, including the 268 paid subscribers. What has made you so successful in the streaming service?
It's been an incredible journey in the past couple of decades. Since Spotify has come into the picture, the music industry has changed tremendously. Essentially, we can say that Spotify revolutionized the music industry. We forget now, but for a long time in the early 2000s, the music industry was going through a very difficult phase. Piracy was rife. What streaming and Spotify has allowed is legal music to become the standard. It has allowed for music fans from across the world to connect with artists from everywhere. 18, 20 years on, we are where we are, and it's really an incredible journey for us. Africa is the last continent where we launched our platform, and since we started working in South Africa in 2018, we've seen tremendous success, and it's been really a very exciting work that we've been doing.
So speaking about Africa, you entered the market in 2018. And what informed the choice of opening an office for Africa, and why did you choose South Africa as the point of contact for the continent?
Indeed, our Africa adventure started here in South Africa. It was an obvious choice. Music is at the heart of African cultures, and South Africa, of course, is really a very, very musical nation. And of course, economically also, it made sense to start here. This is a country, a market that has a very sophisticated marketing and advertising environment. The population is also digitally savvy. Internet penetration was quite advanced. So as Spotify grew across the world, we started here in South Africa. And at the beginning, you might be interested in knowing what the first song that was streamed on Spotify was.
What was that?
Any guess?
Maybe something by Kabza De Small?
Well, at the time, no. You see, what is really interesting is that at the beginning, when we launched, international music was really what was the most popular on Spotify. And the first song that was streamed on our platform was a jazz song by Thelonious Monk, an American jazz artist. Since then, it's been such a very, different journey into the local music industry, where now we're seeing local genres really dominate listenership, and that has grown in really tremendous ways. We're seeing the advent of genres like Amapiano, for example, as you know, but it's not the only genre that is traveling across the world and across the African continent.
So when we are talking about genres and really zoning in South Africa, we've never seen quite a genre like Amapiano that has managed to travel across the world and translate itself so easily to music lovers across the globe. What do you think it is about this particular genre that has captured the hearts of music lovers across the globe?
Oh, there are many reasons. The journey of Amapiano essentially is parallel to the advent of streaming and the explosion of streaming across the world. So, of course, that is one reason. It's much easier to discover music now. Just to give you a bit of an idea, last year, South African music was discovered over a billion times.
That's a huge number.
Exactly, in various parts of the world. It's much easier now if you're sitting, in Colombia or Japan or anywhere in the world to stumble upon a song from South Africa and stream it. So of course that is one big element, and then the genre itself. It really lends itself to blending with other genres. It's really very easy to adapt it and adopt it. South Africans have become incredible ambassadors for this type of music too. By playlisting their own songs.
Sure.
South Africans playlisted their own music over 17 million playlists, last year. So that, of course, plays a role. And dance. Amapiano and dance are completely interconnected, so that plays another role. Social media plays has a massive impact also. So for all of these reasons, this particular genre has really traveled, and it is available on in nightclubs everywhere in the world,
across the globe. I mean, I think you can even see it on social media, on TikTok, right? There's always the TikTok challenges and the dances, which I can never do, but
they're so difficult. Oh,
they're so difficult, right? I mean, I think it's the Gen X and Gen Y. But when we're talking about the genre, right, and other South African genres moving across the globe, Spotify has been very instrumental in helping South African artists access an audience they previously never had before. Can you perhaps share on how Spotify has been instrumental in helping South African artists move across the globe and accessing new audiences?
Yes, this is the power of streaming, right? Is that it makes the world a much smaller place, brings audiences and music fans closer together. But we also have developed different strategies to expose South African music to their fans. We do very deliberate marketing. You may have seen on billboards across the world, in New York and London and other places. We've put South African artists on these platforms. Of course, our editorial work, our curation plays a big role. Our human curators across the world, expose this music to people in their regions. There's the algorithmic discovery as well. So many other ways. That is really what makes streaming so powerful. It's this kind of access. We have been very, very deliberate in our work in this regard.
So the emergence of music streamers and social media has played a positive role, right, in boosting the economic contribution of the sector to the South African economy. Can you perhaps share some numbers on what revenue has been generated directly by South African artists?
Naledi, we've been really excited, humbled by the kind of impact we are starting to have on the music industry in South Africa. As you know, the way this works is that our platform distributes royalties to the music industry. Actually, you might know that Spotify's revenue, 2/3 of it, 70% or so of it, is actually redistributed to the artist community. And in South Africa last year, that number was 400 million rand. That is just from Spotify alone, right? So really we are significant contributors to the industry, and this has ripple effects, right? It's the labels, it's of course the artists themselves, but also other participants, songwriters, managers, etc. The downstream effect is really quite phenomenal. It is only the start, though, because we've only been in the country for less than 10 years. We have much bigger ambitions, and it's very much a virtuous circle. So when you, virtuous cycle rather,
Sure.
let's take you as a music fan, when you subscribe to Spotify or listen to the free service and there's advertising revenue on it, part of that money that you're spending with us is redistributed to the artists of this country. We think that this is this is extremely important. We feel a huge responsibility, and we want to expand this. At the moment, there is, big stars that are making a living, but we want this to impact, artists that are emerging, that are not stars yet, and really expand this number to go much deeper into the country. Let's take Maskandi artists, for example. We would like to see many more artists in different parts of the country benefiting, but for this to happen...
So I'm sorry to jump in. So Maskandi is a popular genre on the platform?
Oh, yes. It's one of our fastest growing genres.
That's interesting.
At the moment.
Sure.
We're very excited about the genre, actually. At the moment, we've spoken about Amapiano earlier, but there are other genres in South Africa that are doing really well. Afro-tech is really emerging. Gospel.
Sure.
I mean, gospel is really so deeply embedded in culture here. 400 million, that is great, but we want to do much more.
That is a significant number, and I did not know about Maskandi. That's really interesting. So I really just want to chat about some of your programs that helps young people in the economy, right, to be engaged in the creative sector, but not only be engaged, right, but be intelligently engaged. Can you maybe share some of your programs that you have implemented in the country, and any example of someone who has gone through that program?
Yes, we have different programs to help, music fans discover artists. So for example, one of them is called Radar. This is for artists that are on the cusp of really growing big. And one of our most famous alumni is the world famous now, Tyler.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Tyler was a Radar alumni. We were part of her journey at the beginning. We did a documentary about her journey, her life, her family. This was in 2023. We showed it as part of a series of events that were called Greasy Tunes here in Johannesburg. And there are many other artists that were part of Radar. There's also Equal. Equal is specifically for women artists. And we recently had an event here in Joburg where it was a 2-day event where we educated a cohort of music artists. Then there's Fresh Finds for really very emerging artists. So these are some of the ways that we stay very close to the culture.
Sure.
Where we have really our pulse on what's going on what our youth are doing, etc. And then in the podcasting space, a couple of years ago, we had a podcasting fund. And more recently, we developed a program around video podcasting, where if you're a podcaster that wants to do video, you can you can be enrolled in a program and come to our studio here in Rosebank and develop your podcast in the most professional conditions. So we are really working at elevating South African voices in this way. So yeah, these are some of the ways that we work to elevate, support, and hold the hands of the
creators,
artists community and podcasters.
Sure. So, Jocelyne, you mentioned earlier about billboards and marketing South African artists and other artists, right, on billboards across the world. And I've seen billboards in Times Square. We have seen Kabza De Small, Durban Gogo, and a few other South African artists. Why was it so important for you to put these African artists, right, in foreign territories?
Celebrating and exposing our artists to audiences around the world is one of our key missions, and we have the platform for that, right? So we must utilize it. So we are very deliberate in our efforts to take African artists, South African artists to the world in this way. We know that there are audiences out there, over there, that are really very, very keen to discover all of this music. So we've done that work. But I was telling you just now offline that we've been on this journey with Amapiano from the beginning. We were there when our team realized that this genre was really emerging organically and generating a lot of interest. We really did everything we could to support those artists and educate them on how to really harness the power of streaming via, in different ways. There is a platform called Spotify for Artists, for example. It's very important for these artists to know how to use it, to pitch to our editors, etc. So there's a lot of work that was done in this regard.
Sure. So, Jocelyne, talking about branding, we've seen our artists' faces and other African artists, in Times Square, on billboards and other foreign territories. What do you think South African creators and artists have really done to branding South Africa as a country with the emergence of Mapiano and other musical genres?
Without any doubt, music plays a big role in South Africa's soft power. And not just South Africa, the entire African continent is really benefiting from an incredible renaissance in terms of cultural impact around the world. Earlier we were mentioning that over 1 billion people discovered, or rather, South African music was discovered over 1 billion times just last year. What this means in practice is that you are seated somewhere in the world, anywhere in the world, and in a very organic, normal kind of way, this music comes into your daily consumption. It's become very normalized. A long time ago, you may not remember this, but our music was often categorized as, in a vast category called world music. It was just set aside.
Yeah.
And now we are really completely part of the global mainstream. And for South Africa and the African continent at large, this is an impact that is really much more powerful than it's ever been. Therefore, absolutely, I think our countries should use the power of our cultures to extend our influence across the world.
Absolutely. And so looking ahead for Spotify, what does the future look like in South Africa and for the rest of the continent? And what other areas of growth are you looking to maximize or perhaps tap into?
It's been such an incredible journey in the past few years, but we're just starting. We're really just starting. Even in South Africa, where we've been for 7 years, there are so many areas of the country and musical genres that we are still developing and helping develop in different regions across the country. I'm thinking of KZN, for example, where Maskandi is seeing such an incredible renaissance. We're very excited about this genre. It's so rich, so deeply authentic. It has so much potential in terms of resonating beyond South Africa. So we want to be part of that journey. And there are other communities that whose talents, whose music we want to hear more of. I'm thinking of the Cape Flats in Western Cape, for example. There's a lot of richness there that we want to see develop more, and many languages. For example, if you take Sesotho. The consumption of Sesotho music has grown by 300% in the past few years.
That's a massive number.
isiZulu, of course, and other languages like Afrikaans also. Afrikaans music is doing well at the moment. So really, there's a lot to do still, right? So the next few years are going to be very interesting. And really, the dream for us is to get to a point where thousands of artists are making a living thanks to our work and with our support.
That's fantastic. I mean, Jocelyne, that's a wrap from us, but I think it really isn't lost on myself or anyone who will watch this, right? And seeing the incredible work that Spotify has done. I know it's early days. I know you say it's still early,
yes.
But I think you definitely have been instrumental in the emergence of Amapiano, which has made a massive, massive contribution both to our artists and to our country. It's interesting to hear about genres like Maskandi. I didn't know that it was a growing genre. It has such a great appeal across the world. And gospel music,
yes,
of course.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know, in fact, that there was a specific sound from the Cape Flats that you're obviously now trying to carry across markets that you're trying to carry across the market. So a huge congratulations to yourself and your team. And I really do certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from us. Thank you for joining Nation West, and we'll see you in the very next episode.